Hello and welcome to Breakfast with Jimmy. I'm your host, JimmyJimJimJimmer, and this week we're going to talk about tea. Black tea to be precise, because I don't know a thing about green tea or herbal tea. I'm a black tea man, always have been, always will be. Well, someone will probably sway me at some point in the future and make me out to be a liar. But anyway, I do enjoy some black tea, as do quite a lot of English people. It's pretty common, if you go around to an English person's house, they will offer you a cup of tea, possibly some biscuits. Oh, my grandma will offer you biscuits, she always offers biscuits. She's a lovely woman. I'm gonna have to go and get some biscuits. Shit. Yeah. Anyway, let's get to talking about tea. The first fact I have for you is about tea bags, or rather, where the tea bags originated. Tea bags originally come from America, and back in the day, Americans would actually drink a lot more tea than the British. It wasn't until the Boston Tea Party, when they threw all the tea in Boston into the harbour. It wasn't until after that event that they stopped drinking so much tea and moved on to coffee. It was an act of defiance and protest against the taxation of tea that we had. But that's unrelated to tea bags. Tea bags were originally invented as a way to transport small samples of tea. The bags were originally made out of silk and they would transport just a cup's worth of tea at a time. I'm assuming because of the difficulty of straining loose tea and now the simplicity of having them in little silk bags, that they quickly caught on as a popular method to just brew the tea in the cup and in the bag as well. Now of course today almost all tea comes in tea bags. In fact, around 98% of all tea is now in bags, which is no surprise if you've ever tried straining tea. It's not an easy task. So that's the first fact about tea. Despite popular belief, tea actually originates in China, not India. When British colonists first went to India, they realised that the region was perfect for growing tea, much like China, so they took some Chinese tea plants with them and started cultivating them there. It wasn't until later that they realised that India also has its own native tea plants, and they began cultivating those as well. Nowadays, both are known as major exporters of tea, and Britain gets its tea from both. Back in the 17th century, trade between China and Europe was quite rare and just starting out. Britain had already acquired a taste for tea, and China was its main source at the time. This was a problem, however, as Britain didn't really have any trade commodities that China needed, but China had the ever-important tea. Now, at the time, Britain would trade mostly with gold, but China would only accept silver, so then Britain would have to trade within Europe to get the silver from its gold, which obviously cost more for them and they would get less tea. And due to this, they decided to find a trade commodity that China would need, which just so happened to be opium, which they brought in from India. The opium trade quickly exploded in China, mostly due to how addictive opium is and how easily available it now was, because Britain really likes their tea, so they brought in a lot of opium. This caused many troubles within China, however, as now all their workforce was getting too high on opium all the time and they weren't able to do as much work. Due to this, in the 18th century they outlawed smoking in trade of opium, but by then Britain had secured enough silver from China to be able to continue the tea trade almost indefinitely. That is how Britain got its tea from China. Since 1945, starting with the Centurion battle tank, every British tank has had a boiling vessel, or in common words, a kettle. It provides hot water for the troops in the tank, which is useful for cleaning things and heating their MREs. It's also incredibly useful for making tea. During the World Wars, the British government knew that tea was vital to Britain's morale, both in the field and back in the country. They knew that a lack of tea would cause the workforce to grind to a halt, and not having tea on the front lines would quickly lead to the soldiers becoming demotivated and demoralized. Due to this, instead of keeping one large stockpile of tea in the country, they kept many separate stockpiles all around the country. This not only allowed for faster and easier access to tea countrywide, but it also prevented one rogue bomb from wiping out Britain's entire tea supply, which surely would have ruined morale and may have tipped the tide of the war. In Malaysia, there's actually a cult that worships a giant teapot. It all came to an end though when one woman was arrested and the teapot was destroyed. What a shame. I would have joined that cult. Also during the war they had to ration many things. Tea was one of them, but the tea suppliers knew that tea was needed for British morale to stay high and to keep the country running, so they knew they had to keep the tea flowing. In an attempt to lift the tea ration, they inserted little circular discs into the tea boxes, and these discs would urge the British people to complain about the ration of tea. The British people were quick to take up this cause and got to doing what they do best, complaining. The British government heard these cries of outrage and they lifted the ration on the tea, allowing tea to be drunk by all as much as they please. Researchers found that drinking 1 to 2 cups of tea a day can actually increase fertility rates, although drinking more than 6 will start to decrease your fertility rates. I'm not sure why they found this out, and I don't really know how I know this, but there you go. That's all for now, folks. Most of those facts were from memory, so if I did get something wrong, let me know in the comments. I'll put an annotation in to correct myself. I hope you enjoyed these little facts about tea. I'm not really sure how or why I know most of these, but you pick things up on your way, and being British, it helps to know about tea. But anyway, thanks for watching. Till next time.